Hey, welcome again to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. In this video we will be discussing the themes stylistic devices present in the Samaritan play Act 1 Scene 1. If you haven't watched the video of the act yet, click on the video on the screen to be up to date. But if you have already read the text, let's dive directly into the topic. So, we will start discussing on themes, then later on in this video we will discuss on the stylistic devices present. Corruption, impunity and blackmail. Law enforcers and judges serve those who grease their hands, leaving ordinary people without access to justice or protection. Those who cannot afford to bribe often have no option but to suffer in silence or resort to illegal measures. You can find this on page 7. Mossy tells the principal that it is within her power to find a way around the system, implying the corruption and bending of rules that plague institutions, further highlighting the lack of integrity among leaders. You can find this on page 17. He boldly asserts that his decisions supersede those of any education officials across the country, showcasing arrogance and a disregard for established laws and systems. You can find this on page 17. Environmental degradation and climatic change. Alvita describes a situation where people document illegal activities that degrade the environment, such as deforestation and pollution, by taking photos and videos. These are then shared on digital platforms referred to as digital pigeonholes, to raise awareness and possibly shame the perpetrators. You can find this on page 11. Montano predicts a dystopian future where cities reek of filth due to a severe scarcity of cleaning water following catastrophic climate change. This paints a bleak picture of the environmental collapse and its consequences on urban living. You can find this on page 6. He also notes the unpredictability of weather patterns, with rains becoming increasingly rare, reflecting the devastating impacts of climate change on agriculture and water resources. You can find this on page 6. Montano explains how people, in their desperation, began to eat strange things like insects, crawling creatures, rodents, and sea creatures as traditional food sources became scarce, highlighting the harsh realities of a changing world. You can find this on page 6. Once weather patterns shifted, life expectancy plummeted drastically, further emphasizing the severe human toll of environmental degradation and climate change. You can find this on page 7. Hopelessness and desperation. Many people cannot afford basic necessities like medicine and nutritious food, leaving them to suffer from malnutrition and various preventable diseases. This paints a grim reality for the vulnerable in society. You can find this on page 7. Montano shares that millions of young people wander the streets and villages aimlessly without any gainful employment. He describes them as poor, hungry, and angry, capturing the frustration and despair of a generation lost to unemployment. You can find this on page 5. He further states that crime has escalated to unprecedented levels, with people being slaughtered like chickens, reflecting the breakdown of law and order in a desperate society. You can find this on page 7. Additionally, Montano shares that the judicial system is deeply corrupt, with law enforcers and judges serving only those who bribe them. As a result, people who lack access to fair justice either resort to vigilante justice or take matters into their own hands. You can find this on page 7. Poverty and unemployment/joblessness. Montano describes a grim reality where millions of young people have no access to meaningful work and spend their days loitering aimlessly in streets and villages. They are poor, hungry, and angry, a reflection of the systemic failure to provide opportunities for the youth. You can find this on page 5. He also shares with Alvita that their country has been producing graduates every year, far outpacing the number of jobs available. This imbalance results in a growing population of educated but unemployed individuals. You can find this on page 5. Education. Sagrada Secondary School serves as a beacon of hope in a broken system, providing education to students like Alvita and Montano. These students are not only academically inclined but also creative and innovative, qualities fostered under the mentorship of Nicole. The school's principal, Noreen, and deputy, Carmona, play supportive roles in nurturing the students' potential. You can find this on page 5. Montano tells Alvita that while education remains vital, the nation's system produces graduates in volumes that outstrip the jobs created annually, leaving many educated people in unemployment. which creates a cycle of frustration and despair. You can find this on page 5. Now let us look at the language and style in The Samaritan. Act 1 Scene 1. The language and style in Act 1 Scene 1 of The Samaritan by John Lara demonstrate rich use of literary devices that enhance the thematic and dramatic elements of the play. Below is a breakdown of the stylistic elements and examples. 1. Imagery. A hyperbole or exaggeration or overstatement. Hyperbole is employed to emphasize characters' emotions and add humor or dramatic intensity. Montano humorously tells Alvita about her imagination, saying, "The way your nose was running as though you had a drum of fluids in the middle of your head." You can find this on page 6. He adds, "You had a fertile imagination," exaggerating Alvita's ability to envision scenarios vividly. You can find this on page 8. Nicole teases her students, saying, "What an overheated imagination," highlighting their exaggerated ideas. You can find this on page 9. Mossy sarcastically declares, "I would especially be delighted if the medicine for regenerating my body cells was discovered today. That would enable me to live for 422 more years," exaggerating his wish for eternal youth. You can find this on pages 14 and 15. Mossy humorously claims, "I accidentally swallowed a whole toothpick," a ridiculous statement that portrays him as clumsy or inattentive. You can find this on page 16. Nicole's sharp and deliberate footsteps are exaggerated. Her sharp footsteps can be heard reverberating in the corridor like castanets. You can find this on page 18. Vivid description. The play opens with rich visual descriptions, helping to create a realistic and engaging setting. The classroom is detailed as having chairs and tables arranged in 3 rows with 2 passageways, one on either side of the middle row. You can find this on page 1. Noreen is described as a motherly, tall, plump lady in her late 50s. You can find this on page 3. Nicole's attire and appearance are elaborately portrayed. She is dressed in her trademark style comprising a flowery Banarasi silk sari and a headscarf, and she is further described as a young, tall, light-skinned lady of medium build, a renowned beauty, and an uncompromising moralist. You can find this on page 3. Mossy is introduced as a tall, heavy man, giving a physical sense of his authoritative yet imposing demeanor. You can find this on page 2. Nicole's striking appearance continues with, she is sporting a wavy side ponytail hairstyle and is smartly dressed in a black skirt and a white blouse. You can find this on pages 3 to 4. Seek personification. Personification adds liveliness to expressions and makes abstract ideas tangible. Montano tells Alvita, "Your nose was running," giving her nose a human-like action. You can find this on page 6. Bastio uses personification to describe the future. "It will be a delicious new dawn in our islands." You can find this on page D. Simile. Similes create striking comparisons to emphasize ideas. Alvita explains the quick spread of information. You just send a text message on the app and it spreads like a wild bushfire. You can find this on page 16. Nicole's footsteps are compared to castanets to emphasize their sharp and rhythmic sound. You can find this on page 18. Montano comments on societal violence. "People are slaughtered like chickens," underscoring the brutal reality of crime. You can find this on page 7. Metaphor. Metaphors are used to draw deeper connections between concepts. Montano tells Alvita, "You have a fertile imagination," likening her creativity to the richness of fertile land. You can find this on page 8. Symbolism. Symbolism enriches the narrative by giving layered meanings to ordinary elements. Montano says, "We better discuss which side of the fence that bird will fly, when it eventually decides to fly." The bird represents the municipal leaders who must decide between the people's welfare and their self-interests. You can find this on page 9. 2. Euphemism. Euphemism is sparingly used to soften harsh realities or difficult truths. Montano cautiously addresses sensitive topics to Alvita. Though examples are minimal in this scene, you can find this on page 6. 3. Sarcasm. Sarcasm highlights hypocrisy and underscores key themes with humor or sharp wit. Mossy sarcastically remarks about his desire to live for 422 more years, mocking the impracticality of science. You can find this on pages 14 to 15. He dismissively refers to the Samaritan app as an incredible innovation before abruptly rejecting it. You can find this on page 15. Ramday jokingly suggests that another rumor might spread about Mossy swallowing a toothpick. You can find this on page 16. 4. Allusion. Allusions enrich the text by connecting it to well-known stories or ideas. Alvita explains that the Samaritan app is named after the parable of the Good Samaritan, drawing inspiration from the Bible. You can find this on page 13. 5. Rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions prompt thought and challenge assumptions. Montano asks Alvita, "What with all these criminal gangs in the municipality?" Questioning the feasibility of change. You can find this on page 8. Alvita inquires, "Haven't you read about decision-making algorithms?" Introducing the idea of advanced technology. You can find this on page 8. 6. Play within a play. A key dramatic device, the play within a play, is used to explore contrasting futures. Alvita and Montano depict two possible worlds, one plagued by despair, environmental degradation and crime, and another filled with hope through technological advancements. You can find this on pages 4 to 13. 7. Satire. Satirical elements critique leadership and societal flaws. The rejection of the Samaritan app by Mossy and his leaders satirizes the resistance to progress in corrupt systems. You can find this on page 15. Irony. Irony reveals contradictions between words and actions. Mossy claims to have a public mandate to protect citizens, yet blocks an innovation meant to improve their lives. You can find this on page 18. 9. Ellipsis. Ellipses create suspense and suggest incomplete thoughts. Pyrrho hesitates, saying, "Pardon me, your worship, but they cannot overrule the minister." You can find this on page 18. Now for the last part, let us look at characters and characterization in The Samaritan. Act 1, Scene 1. I will also highlight their role in brief. If you think we left out any theme, characterization, or any stylistic device, feel free to highlight them down on the comments below. Now let's start. So we are going to start with 1. Ms. Nareen. Let's start with her role. She is a stock character. She is the principal of Sagrada Secondary. A firm. The principal is said to have a very strong personality. Page 3. 2. Mossy. Role. He builds themes of bad governance and technology as she talks about it. He also brings out language use such as irony, satire, and ellipsis. He enables us to see how firm and realistic Nicole is. He also develops the plot as an inciting action of stopping the rewarding of the app commences. 8. Opulent and flashy. Mossy has more phones. He puts his 3 phones. Page 2. Be temperamental. He raised his voice while addressing Nicole. Page 17. C. Arrogant and proud. He says that he cannot argue with a simple chairman of a local board. Page 18. D. Dictatorial. He dictates what the school should do when and how. He commands Mossy, "Go now and write that letter and copy my office through your school principal." Page 18. Cautious. He declines the Samaritan innovation, saying it might be a problem to the leadership. His reputation might be hurt. 3. Nicole. Role. We come to realize how insecure Mossy is because of her innovation with the students. We also meet styles like satire because of her conflicting view with Mossy. We expect the play as she resists Mossy's suggestion of doing away with the Samaritan. Realistic. She tells Mossy that she may not be able to say anything about the app. She says the app has been online for a month now and it has been taken over by the National Information and Communications Technology Corporation, and there is little they can do now. Page 18. 4. Alvita and Montano. Roles. They show how focused Nicole is and how selfish the mayor is. They set the plot in motion with their play and innovation. They build the play within a play. Innovative and creative. The conflicting aspect of a bright future and a dark future results from their strained imagination. Be courageous. They confidently stand. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell if you want to be the first to see my latest video. Until next time.